Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Manchester United have got their man. They've got Mason Mount. This is the guy that Erik ten Hag prioritised from the start of this transfer window and has got from Chelsea. Mason Mount is going to be a Manchester United player. Let's give you the here we go. And here it is from Fabrizio Romano. Breaking: Manchester United agree 60 million package for Mason Mount with Chelsea. It's done. Here we go. Personal terms agreed weeks ago, and face-to-face talks between clubs made it clear the agreement is done. Mason Mount becomes a Manchester United player because Manchester United never left the race. I'll tell you what race they will leave. The Casido race, because we all know that was a load of bullshit. They've got it done. Mason Mount, look, it's going to open up a lot of relevant, interesting, and to be honest with you, truthful debate about why we prioritise a number 8 when we need a holding midfielder or a striker. But look, I think we can read what Man United have been doing on this deal for 5 weeks, what they normally do. We were linked to him a long time ago, and it's taken time to get the deal done. Let's look, this is the guy that Erik ten Hag wants. I'm glad it's done. To me, it felt like it could have gone on for another few weeks. And I would agree that there's a lot of this deal that has lost its shine because it takes so long. We're used to that. But the bottom line is we've got it done. It's still June. It's a June, well, it won't be officially a June signing, but we've got the here we go from Fabrizio. This deal is happening. We're not walking away. It's not going to collapse. Man United have paid what Chelsea want, and Manchester United will get Mason Mount. I was shocked about this a few weeks ago when we heard that Erik ten Hag was going for him. But for me, the clue is in what I just said there. Mason Mount is a player that Erik ten Hag prioritised. He really wants him. The player wants to come to Manchester United. And it's going to be very interesting to see what he brings. I mean, I wasn't convinced about Mason Mount a few years ago. I thought he was all hype. And then I saw him at Chelsea and I thought, you know what, there's actually a really good player there. Last year it wasn't good enough, but, you know, I think he is, I nearly said a turd. I think he is a stone you can polish. A little bit dirty, been in the mud a little bit. Get him out, give him a clean, and I think there's a diamond in the rough potentially there, and that's what we know Erik ten Hag can do. So, look, Erik ten Hag really likes him. How he's going to fit into the team, I think it's Casemiro, Mount and Bruno. I personally think that will cause us problems away from home, but that's why we need to bring another holding-type midfielder in. We know we're in for Rabiot, but it improves the squad. It's a younger profile player, which I think United need to look at. You know, he's mid-20s really, just under that. So it's a player that can be at United 5-6 years before they hit 30. So nobody really talks about the longevity of this deal as well. You wouldn't expect Mason Mount to be moving on from Manchester United, and the wages are reasonable as well. I get the doubters, I really do, but I look at it from a managerial point of view. He wanted this player and the club have delivered the player. Don't forget that after inflation, Mount will end up being cheaper than Fred, says Woozy. And also, Rogine says 60 million for Mount, 60 million for Havertz. Whoever at Chelsea is getting these sales done deserves a pay rise for getting so much for these mid players. Well, give us your thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? We've had a couple of super chats coming in there. Give us your thoughts. I mean, we've spoken about this a lot over the last month. In relation to the fee, I think you've got to acknowledge that a little bit. Fabrizio is saying that regards to the actual deal itself, understand Mason Mount will undergo a medical with Manchester United next week. Contract will be valid until June 2028, so a 5-year deal. Fee is 55 million fixed plus 5 million in add-ons. We moved, and Chelsea won. Not by a lot. I mean, I'm not going to start moaning, but 55 million should have been the ceiling. He's not worth 60 million with add-ons. I mean, look, if the add-ons work, he's worth 60 million, but Chelsea slightly won that deal. I wouldn't say they embarrassed us. It's not 80 million for Harry Maguire to Leicester, but I think Chelsea did slightly win there. They're very good at what they do. I think United, you know, I'm relaxed. I think United need to learn, if you're Qatar, you've got to look at what Chelsea have just done. I hope that the Qatar ownership looks at that and goes, that won't happen when we're in charge, because it wasn't an embarrassing loss, but they beat us. 55 million plus another 5 in add-ons is about 10 million over what he's worth. So Chelsea have done a good deal. United have paid a little bit more, and we haven't got an endless budget. So it's not the end of the world. And if he ends up being a superstar, it'll be well worth it. But we have overpaid a little bit, and I think that's nothing to do with Mason Mount. That's nothing to do with Erik ten Hag, and it's not really anything to do with us. That's not telling us anything we don't know. What do we expect? I think people expect miracles. Oh, like we're going to get him for 40 million. Maybe somebody else could get him for 40 million. Not Man United. We're not good enough. We're not good at negotiating. So actually, we should probably celebrate the fact that we're not playing 65 or 70 because we are rubbish at negotiating. So 60 million all in, 55 straight up front plus 5 in add-ons. It's a little bit more than he's worth, but it's not terrible considering Manchester United are rubbish at negotiations. And there is a lesson to be learnt there. Chelsea are fantastic at this sort of thing. United are dreadful at this sort of thing. And yeah, Chelsea have sold about £200 million worth of players now. In fact, I think they've sold more than that, haven't they? Kovacic 30, 120 for Havertz and Mount, that's 50. Another 20 for Loftus-Cheek, that's 170. Plus the lads that have gone to Qatar. They've probably made £250 million in June. 250 million, and that's what United need to learn to do. 55 million's not bad. Hope the add-ons are Ballon d'Or, says Manchild. I mean, look, to be honest with you, that 5 million in add-ons is nothing. We've overplayed a little bit. Chelsea players didn't suddenly become bad. If that would be the case, City wouldn't have gone for Kovacic, says Mario. And Mark, I actually think a number 8 is very important. We all know Eriksen has not got the legs, but of course it's not top of the list. I agree, Lucas. I agree. Mason Mount, this might sound a little bit controversial, but Mason Mount is better than Eriksen for what we're trying to do as a team. It's not always about the individual. If I say to you Bruno's not as good as De Bruyne, we all know that. But Bruno might suit Man United more than De Bruyne. And I think Mason Mount suits Man United more than Christian Eriksen. After a season, we have seen what it's all about. And Manchester United, quite frankly, are a team that lack energy and physicality when we play Christian Eriksen. And I would personally like to see Christian Eriksen become more of a number 10, because that's what I think he is. Whereas I think Mason Mount's young enough to be the legs in the number 8 position. We still desperately need a holding midfielder. We still need a player that can, play the role when Casemiro's injured, suspended, but also when you go away to Anfield, you can play 2, and Mason Mount can't do that. But when you're playing at home and you're playing certain teams away from home, I think you can. I think you can push it, and I think you can put Mason Mount in there, and I think that's what Erik ten Hag wants. We definitely overplayed, says Verix, but honestly, just happy to make a deal. Not sure on Mount, but I trust Ten Hag. Anana next. We'll talk about Anana in a minute, Verix. Thank you very much. Lots of people giving their thoughts. 55 million's not bad, says Manchild. I think I've read that. Hi, Mark. Last year, none of the players for Chelsea were good, and Mason Mount was amazing before last year, and definitely it's an upgrade on Fred, says Mohit. And this is why we don't meet face-to-face with other clubs. He's not worth a penny more than 50 million, says East Coast. Well, let's just do a quick poll. Hi, Mark. Just wanted to say that cracking opening an ice-cold beer and watching your streams is one of my favourite pastimes, says Nick. Thank you very much. And hi, Mark. We've done that one from Mohit as well. Let's just do a quick poll. You know what? Let's do it a little bit different here. How do you rate this transfer? How do you rate this Mount transfer? So instead of whether you're happy with it or not, because I think that's a bit blunt, let's say average, good, superb. So there you go. Is it an average signing, a good signing, or a superb signing? There we go. Whatever. Let's remember, this is the United Stand. And what do we do when we get a new signing? We smash a like on the video and we try and get a load of likes to welcome the player to the club. So make sure you do smash a like on the video. Mason Mount, if you're just tuning in, here we go. Manchester United, Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United have done the deal for Mason Mount. 5-year deal, 2028. Medical early next week, so official announcement from Manchester United next week. £55 million deal up front with 5 million in add-ons, which means we've spent £55 million of the budget, which is what a lot of you wanted us to do. He was the top target. Manchester United never left the race as Fabrizio Romano, despite reports, and they never entered the race for Caicedo. It was only Mason Mount, top target, deal done, 60 million. I tell you what, there's a bag of grapes for you. That's absolutely incredible, isn't it? That's absolutely incredible. I hadn't read that from Fabrizio. Man United never left the race for Mason Mount, and they never entered the race for Caicedo. Can somebody just give me a virtual high five? You know, about 20,000 people just put their right hand up. I said this morning, and when I get it right, I feel like the community gets it right. A lot of people were criticising me last night. A lot of people were criticising me this morning. I said there is no way we're in for Caicedo, and there is no way we will sign Caicedo. We cannot afford him. We're not in for him. It's just a silly little story to try and make Chelsea get nervous. And unfortunately, that silly little story has pissed me off, because I would take Caicedo over Mason Mount every day of the week and Sunday. Every day of the week. He's exactly the player we should be going for. And I don't like the fact that we've used Caicedo to sign Mount in some stupid little story. The reality is, if Chelsea now sign Caicedo, I think they've got the better deal, because that's nothing to do with Mason Mount. Mason Mount as a number 8 is a number 8. But I see Declan Rice go to Arsenal, I see Chelsea get Caicedo, and I go, why the hell are we not in for those players? And that might be something that bites us on the arse next season, because where are those players? I don't know. Who is going to be this holding midfielder for United? But a lot of people were thinking, oh, we're going to go for Caicedo. We're going to go for Caicedo. I don't think we are. I really never thought that we would.